Hi, this is Jeff Blauette, technical agronomist with Cooperative Farmers Elevator, and we're out in the beans today. As you drive around the country now, you start to see some things show up, so I thought we'd touch on a few of those. First thing we see now is some of those April planted beans, beans that got in mid-April. They're kind of starting to turn in a lot of cases. You can just start to see the first yellowing leaves of maturity. That's to be expected. I think if you have some subgroup 2 maturity beans planted in that mid-April time frame, you're probably going to see that, if you haven't already, start to show some symptoms of maturity. And that's, just the way the season's progressed. We're going to have an early maturing bunch of beans because of the amount of acres we planted really early this year in April. A couple other things that we're starting to see, probably seeing some sudden death syndrome show up here really late in the season. Basically, we can get the leaves start to turn yellow probably prior to maturity a little bit. The leaves are turning yellow except for the veins. They have what they call interveinal chlorosis, so the veins are kind of staying green in the leaves, but the rest of the leaves starts to turn yellow and eventually brown. Sudden death syndrome can be confused with brown stem rot. Brown stem rot will also show the same foliar symptoms, kind of that interveinal chlorosis. Probably one of the main differences is with sudden death syndrome, you get the probably more damage to the roots, the root rot phase. You pull up the tap roots, the roots are rotted, have maybe some blue fungal growth on them. That's one of the main things you'll see. We probably are more likely to see sudden death. Brown stem rot is also possible. But that'd be one way to differentiate. The brown stem rot kind of fits the name. If you split the stem, especially around some of the nodes, the stem will be brown. The pith in the middle, instead of being white, it'll be brown. So that's a little bit more diagnostic way to tell. Brown stem rot tends to be more of an issue in more acidic soils, soils that really should have some lime, something in the below 6 pH. They both don't like being too wet, so fields that have additional drainage needs that need to be addressed, that can cause both. As far as what could have been done, fungicides really don't have a lot of an impact on either one. Variety selection, improved drainage are probably the 2 key things that we can take care of that would help some. But in general, I think the diseases are coming in late enough on most of this stuff. I don't think it'll have a huge impact. Most of the beans have pods that are basically, beans are full all the way to the top. If that pod is basically full with a full bean, you're probably not losing much for yield if you do start to see some of these diseases. If we have some later planted, say, acres of soybeans, or if we have some that are a little bit later maturity, those would be something to watch. There's nothing you can do about it, but just be aware of. And then the final thing that we've been seeing, again, it continues to expand. It's still more prevalent to the west, but it's working its way around the basically the soybean growing area. But the gall midge damage, as you go by some of these fields, it's more prevalent typically on edges. You'll see some beans that are just random bean plants dying out in the field, typically, like I say, the first 6 or 8, 10 rows. But that can look like white mold like we've seen before, especially as we go to the west. White mold will do the same thing, but you go out into the fields and look at the plants, you can tell a difference. The other thing is the gall midge killing those plants typically will be more along the edges. That's not typically where white mold will be a factor. So some of it can be within the field. Where is it showing up? What is the geography? And that might tell you which is which as well. But we're getting close to the end here on soybeans. I don't think we'll have any major impacts on these beans with the diseases we have, but I just wanted to make you aware of what we're seeing out in soybeans today. So with that, that's this week's Field Friday segment, and we'll see you next week.